Hello, welcome to the Baltimore IGDA. My name is Ryan Griffin. This is episode number 6, I believe. I'm bringing you somebody special. This is Russell from Midsummer, which is a local startup that's doing something fun. But Russell, you've had a storied career. I saw that you actually started at Volition, which is actually a studio that I actually played the original Descent games in, and I was like, oh well, that's actually a fun story there. But how are you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Things have been pretty busy around the Baltimore IGDA. This is like going towards the end of April now. There's a lot of things happening locally. You just got back from vacation. I've been doing a number of things. My studio actually just put out a trailer. So like definitely check that out. I'll link that later. But
I'm excited to play it.
yeah. Like I'm sure because like you have a history with a little bit of Firaxis Games, and now you're working at Midsummer. Tell us about your journey. Like how did you like get started? You went to DigiPen, right?
Did
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it starts kind of even before that. I started programming in high school. Some people started before that, but I didn't really have the opportunity. I didn't really have much chance or understanding of any of that, and so there were programming classes offered at my high school, and it's like, hey, that's cool. And then I got put into the theater class because freshmen can't get in because freshmen couldn't get into the programming class because it get filled up too fast. But so sophomore year, start doing programming classes, take those all throughout high school. Was planning on going to like the University of Washington, Arizona State, something like that that have good engineering programs. But then heard about DigiPen from uh, another student, and it's like, oh, video games.
Oh.
And I was basically making video game kind of dumb little games in the programming classes as a good exercise for writing software. Um, and it's like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. And my parents were on board with doing that, and it was a
Mm,
fairly local. It was a very local school. I was
mm,
living in just north of Redmond at the time,
mm.
so it
That's Seattle.
was
Yeah.
easy to uh, go there and got in. And it was a tough school at the time. I hear they've tried to make it a little more reasonable, which is probably good. Like half, some like quarter or third or something of my freshman class was gone
Mm.
at the end of the first semester,
Oh, wow.
not even year. But part of that wasn't difficulty. Part of that was people were coming and it's like, I want to make games.
Ah,
And
okay,
then
okay.
after the first semester, they're like, oh, wait, I don't want to be a programmer
Ah.
because there wasn't a design program at the
Mm,
time.
mhm,
So it was a little more understandable. And we lost other people over the 4 years. So the graduating class was significantly smaller than
mhm,
the freshman class due to various things. People left because we were due the project classes. And it's like, oh, I really like this marketing stuff
mm,
around
mm,
the product.
mhm,
So I'm gonna go explore marketing someplace else. So there was a lot of that kind of thing of people learning their journey during college, and DigiPen only had a very
mhm,
limited thing. So at other universities, you might just be able to transfer classes or major, and you just couldn't do that at DigiPen, so people left.
mm.
Um, so
Yeah,
yeah, that was great 4 years.
awesome. Yeah, and with understanding that you wanted to go into games during college and being at DigiPen, which is more of a specialized school that was for programming at the time. This is in like the early 2000s, 90s, or okay. So like
This would
it.
have been yeah, this was 2000 to 2004.
Mhm. Okay. So that's still like post like a little bit of the changing of like understanding and dynamic within games. So like that was like the beginning days of like normal maps. like being able to understand like the workflow for that. Like with programming, what kind of things do you like about game development and programming in general? Like whether that's like graphics or gameplay or systems, like what draws you into like programming?
I for me, it's the problem solving.
Problem solving.
It's a lot of the same things that go towards your um, maker community
Hmm.
uh, in the current like these days. Um, of like solving problems and doing that and making something has been a real appeal, and being able to do that without a wood shop or without like
Yeah.
a large with like being able to do that on tools with like this laptop or or a computer where it's like you have a large set of tools that are very small and confined and um, doesn't it's all mental effort as opposed to other uh,
Like
like
construction
being
or
able to like
architecture or
yeah or do it or being able to like have a certain amount of hand eye
uh
of like figure that like doing that stuff um
hmm.
definitely a benefit, but mostly the problem solving and ultimately games are almost always like the hardest set of problems all at the same
Yeah.
time, which the thing about DigiPen too is that it was a CS program. I mean,
Hmm.
the focus was games as like these are the problems you're solving, but there were plenty of people that left that program with a degree and went and did something not games. I
Hmm.
did plenty of interviews not games
Hmm.
because it was like, "Oh, you want to do a Excel spreadsheet? Great. That's way easier than the things I've been doing for the last 4 years." Or
Hmm.
any of the simulation stuff where it's like, wait a minute, you want to do a simulation and it's not real time? Oh wow,
Ooh,
that's so
yes,
much
yes.
easier than trying to do it in real time. So,
Yeah, so
um,
post college, did you find that you were able to get something in games quickly, or was that something that you had to kind of take something that's like a non-game related job, but it was still in computer science, but it was kind of like a boring like corporate job per se, it wasn't like as exciting as like games, right?
no, I had some pretty good luck. It took
Mm,
me about 6 months,
mm,
but the first 3 months
hmm.
didn't probably look all that. I didn't look all that
Ah,
hard,
you were burnt
frankly.
out from
I mean,
school.
a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was taking a little bit of a break. I had the great fortune of having a supportive family.
That's key. That's
I
key.
I actually had some really good timing where my grandparents were going on a vacation, and so I
Mhm.
house sat their condo while they were gone, which was like, and so free kind of room and board
Mm,
for a while after college, um, looking for a job, not necessarily doing the best at it, but I spent time doing it because that's what I should be doing.
mhm,
But and then when that kind of was done, I went
mhm,
back to my parents. I know a lot of people can't do that. I was very fortunate to
mhm,
have that opportunity. But after about 6 months, and so January of '05 was my first day at Volition, uh,
mhm.
and that made the
Ah,
holidays a
yeah,
little
real
easier
nice.
because I think all of that happened. I think the job offer and stuff all finalized around like Thanksgiving, and
Mhm,
so December I was I mean it was busy trying to
mhm,
get moved out there and establish and get like um, housing and stuff
mhm.
ready to go for
Yeah,
me.
being
But
able to move and stuff like that, that's always like challenging.
yeah,
What was the game that you were starting at Volition at the time, or was that kind of like its own thing?
they were working on Saints Row One,
Saints
and they
Row.
were
Okay.
staffing up for Saints Row One.
Nice. Nice.
I came on as a junior programmer, or I don't remember exactly
Mhm,
the role
mm,
title, but I was doing the mission scripting and
mm,
supporting the mission scripting um, engine of sorts in
mhm,
Lua. and how it interfaced with the rest of the custom engine that was used
Mm-hmm.
for in some way most of the projects there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of differences between the Red Faction, which was the other
Mm.
project at the
Yeah.
time, and Red Faction Guerrilla
Hmm. And
specifically.
that's
And then
the RTS, right?
no, that was the also open world. That
Open
was the
world.
one
Okay.
with
Okay.
the entirely destructible buildings.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
The older Red Faction had the destructible, also had destructible terrain,
Hmm.
um, but the Red Faction Guerrilla was destructible buildings, and so you could smash out walls
Mm.
and stuff. Um, and so yeah, I started on Saints Row One doing the mission stuff. It was a really hard. It was a hard project.
Mm.
We were. I think everybody was doing their best, but it wasn't. It was a very green team.
Yeah, that
Most
can
of
be
the people
challenging.
were entry level or very low experience
Yeah,
with
hadn't
game
hadn't shipped a
development.
lot of
They haven't
titles
even
at that point.
gotten. Yeah,
Hmm.
the employees hadn't. It was a new kind of game and genre
Mm. Ah.
for Volition. They had made their like Descent and
Mm-hmm.
Sims and stuff and like flight sim kind of games, but nothing in the open world. Nothing open world quite like a GTA
Hmm.
game, which is what this was
Hmm.
basically based off of. And it was a new platform. We were going straight to
That
Xbox
console. Yeah.
360
Hmm.
or must have been three. It must have been
Yeah, it's probably
Xbox
360.
360 because one came out because the Xbox came out while I was in college.
Hmm.
So it was a new platform. It was so it was this trifecta of like new things with, and so there was even the experienced people didn't have experience with some of this
Ah.
stuff, and it was a custom engine, so
Ooh. Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
having to make an open world on the work
Hmm.
with our own technology. There wasn't like an Unreal Engine
Hmm.
that could do any of this. But eventually, it shipped and it did well enough that we made three more.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and that's the thing is like the power of GTA is kind of alluring, right? Every 10 years they can milk that for as long as they want, and now we're at the precipice of something new coming, so everybody's excited for that. But yeah, like with having a custom engine and stuff like that, like you actually are starting a little bit of the Unreal Engine Baltimore chapter, right? And like so you've had a little bit of extensive knowledge like with the Unreal Engine. Like, have you tried like several engines and it's just that like Unreal Engine is kind of like where the evolution of like Unreal Engine 5 is and how it's able to make like so many different kinds of games. It's so versatile for both like programmers and artists as well.
I have not done very many other engines.
Mm, okay.
Um, I'm not good in that way of like trying a lot of things. I'm
Mm,
very much a C++ programmer.
gotcha. Okay.
I mean, I can do if I need to. Like I did Lua because I had to. I did Python because I had to.
Hmm.
I've done a little bit of C Sharp in Unreal Engine because I've had to. But my specialty, but like I've been doing C++ since high school. It was the focus of the DigiBen curriculum. And so I've mostly doubled down, like really doubled down on knowing C++ and the feature set of C++.
Hmm.
Uh, for as far as engines go, we used that custom engine there at Volition. When I started at Firaxis, they were using Unreal 3 to make XCOM 2. And then we were going to continue to use Unreal 4 when we started Midnight Suns. And that was when I started doing stuff at home with Unreal because, like, oh, we're switching to Unreal 4. Oh,
Hmm.
I can download that at home.
Hmm.
Well, let me do that and have a thing that I can experiment with that will help me with stuff. And it has, but I never really. The only other, I hesitate to call it an engine. I kind of have a custom engine, but it's not much of it. Like, it can get some things rendering on the screen, it can do some text, it can do some data loading and
Hmm.
stuff, but it can do a little bit of gameplay, but it does not support a game. It
Hmm.
is not a real engine.
Okay.
It's a collection of libraries.
So like graphics is probably not your forte then. It's more gameplay
It isn't.
engineering. Yeah.
Gameplay, doing some of the low like things below like
Hmm.
content
Okay.
management, asset doing some of that. I had a bunch of experience with at Volition towards the end, working with some guys on basically a version of pack files
Hmm.
kind of thing of collecting up assets into things that could get loaded
Hmm.
as a singular bundle as you moved around the world, doing that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, gameplay stuff. I almost kind of, if it's some other library like a graphics library, a physics library, it's just like, I'll leave that to somebody who like,
Has a
because I
knack for
can,
that.
and I could do the and I could do the math and I could do the math if I need to, but there's a
Hmm.
lot of math going into like animation and graphics and
Hmm.
physics. It's just like I just don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's kind of best to work with what your strong suit is, right? Because like that can still take you pretty far, right? Like if you have a specialization in something that you've been doing since high school, it's kind of like, well, I'll ride this as long as it can go, right? People still pay pretty good for C++ programming. So
Yeah, and I try to use that to like stay up, like I
staying up
keep
to date, yeah.
somewhat updated on like what new C++
Mm,
features there are, staying up, trying to staying updated on things that are happening in the Unreal Engine at this point,
hmm.
so that I know what tools are available and how to help the other people,
Hmm.
both online in the community as well as at
Hmm.
studios that I've been working at.
Yeah, and that and just looking at all the books in your background there, like you have a large breadth of things that you enjoy, right? Obviously, like programming is your profession, right? But in your personal life, like what kind of games do you like to actually play?
Uh, Civilization's probably a
Yeah,
big one. I started playing that at Civ 2,
yeah. My dad,
and I've
my
been
dad
playing
loves Civ 2.
those ever since. I loved XCOM 1, the first Firaxis XCOM. Um, that was my introduction to XCOM, and one of the reasons that I uh, another reason that I applied to Firaxis when I saw their particular job posting at the time, and and then more recently the first person Fallouts. I never
Mm,
really played the isometric ones, but Fallout 3 and 4
hmm.
and New Vegas have been uh, uh, real enjoyments for me. And then a lot of the tactics games that have been on the Game Boys, starting with the Game Boy Advanced, I think,
Mm.
with like Advanced Wars and
Ah,
Fire
yes,
Emblem.
yes.
The between the like from the Game Boy and its lineage
Mm,
of handheld devices from Nintendo up through the Switch
mm,
has just been a great platform for the tactics
yes.
games. Even before, like, people credit XCOM with a resurgence
Mm,
of this kind of game, which I think is true, especially in the indie space.
hmm.
But even before XCOM,
Yeah.
the handhelds were doing these like
Hmm.
tactics games that
Every couple of
we're
years.
missing some of the strategy layer that XCOM adds in,
Mm,
that adds a lot to it. But as far as the tactics part, goes has been a great platform
Hmm.
for that, and even more recently, like any of the Final Fantasy Tactics stuff, um, and the Mario and Rabbids, which is
Yeah.
like crazy. Where you're like, wait a minute, Mario and XCOM. We loved it when it first came out on the XCOM team for sure, and they've done a sequel, and that sequel has been pretty good too. So a lot of the reasons that I went to Firaxis are the games that I like to play.
Hmm.
I didn't have a problem at Volition working on titles that I would never have bought. That wasn't like some people can't really
Hmm.
do that,
Hmm.
and I can understand that a little. It was never really a problem for me. It's more of a problem for me if I try to see myself as a designer.
Yeah, that's another
Like
thing.
I don't think I could. Like I don't think I could move professionally beyond the. If I'm going to design something, I'm going to need to like to play it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not. I'm not a designer, so I don't have that problem. And I
Yeah,
can.
you're more interested in, again, the actual like gameplay, and obviously like it seems like strategy games is a little bit more your speed with being able to have like turn based or real time, or do you want like some RPG like thrown in your games?
I don't mind some RPG.
Okay,
The
okay,
Fire Emblems
yeah.
definitely have a lot of that. Definitely on the turn-based side
Mm.
for me. Um, Never good with StarCraft
Yeah,
Micro.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that's something that like I still play and see podcasts for or not a podcast, but Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition with a T90 who's a popular caster. Like I watch this stuff all the time from when I was playing back in the day. It's like, oh yeah, like they still keep this up with that game. It's like 10, 15 years old at this point, and certain things
Yeah.
have a very like niche player base, but like strategy games is very universal, and I'm glad to see that like local companies, especially in this area, continue to produce games that have a strategy in mind and will help showcase that to more and more people. Um,
Yeah.
so let's see, we're about halfway through or so. Um, so we talked about your like why you like games with let's see, like with programming. So like what's something that you would say is something that you saw in your career that helped you to kind of start from like a entry level like post college to being a successful programmer and getting onto like your second title. Was it something that you had to like learn certain skill sets that helped you become a better programmer, or was it something that you just kind of had to understand how to work within a game and like shipping a game like kind of mindset?
Um, let's see. I think it's two
Hmm.
things. The first would be treating gameplay programming almost like tools programming,
Okay.
which sounds weird,
As
but
as a service
um,
or
kind of
okay.
like, but instead of but the but it's a really weird kind of tool, but it's a tool for the designers to
Mm,
make the
mm,
thing that they want to make,
mm,
or it's a tool for other gameplay engineer. I mean, this is more of what I have done more recently, but like,
mm,
but it's a tool for other gameplay engineers to make a specific gameplay content
mm,
that they are tasked with making,
mm,
as opposed to seeing the gameplay as the thing that you're making for gameplay as the end goal,
mm,
seeing it as a tool for somebody else to make the thing. That's really kind of where I've slotted in
mm.
for a lot of the things. I mean, I've had to do that. I had to do the mission scripting, but to do the mission scripting, I didn't have anybody supporting me, so I had to make some of those
Ah,
tools
okay.
kind tools kinds of things, and worked with another guy who was making another part of the tools. And so that, like, making the tool, treating it as like a tool and not an end in and of itself,
Mm-hmm.
has been a big one for me. And then, what was the other question?
It's mostly being able to like shipping a game, right? Like there's
Right.
stuff that happens like towards the end that kind of like getting it to be at a polished enough state, like gameplay wise,
Yeah.
and having like bug triage at the end, being like, oh, okay, what things do we ship with that are still like kind of busted, right? But like, because like it was different, like back in the day, like you put it on a disc and it's out in the wild, right? Versus now there's
Yeah.
like updates and stuff afterwards.
There's updates. So yeah, so the other thing, so the other half of, I think, what has
Hmm.
helped me a lot is just the willingness to do random things,
Hmm.
uh, and being willing to step outside my outside
Okay.
comfort zone. Though comfort zone's not quite the right
Hmm.
step outside my job
Hmm.
responsibilities. Maybe it might be. I remember a time. I remember shipping Saints Row 1, and we were getting towards that end part,
Hmm.
and the lead engineer assigned me some bugs that were these like UI things, and I
Ah.
hadn't done any UI stuff, and so. And it's like, I'm still pretty new at this whole thing. So I went to him and it's like, did you mean to send me these? Because
Mm.
I have no idea what I'm doing there. And he's like, yeah, we need somebody to
Hmm.
go in and look at them. And so, I'm like, okay, if you meant to send them to me, then okay, I will go
Hmm.
look at them.
Hmm.
And I looked at them, and eventually I figured them out and fixed them. Um, but it started a process, a long process of like always of like doing the things that need to be
Hmm.
done, if those are the things, like if those are what the people above me say are important,
Hmm.
and I have the potential, and there isn't somebody better available,
Hmm.
you know, me doing it is better than it not getting done at all.
Hmm.
So I think that's been a big one. And getting a lot more comfortable, like being able to do those kinds of things with very maybe little help of like tracking things back of like, okay, this is the thing that's wrong. Why is that wrong?
Hmm.
Oh, because it's being told by this thing that it's wrong. Okay, why is that thing
Hmm.
making the decision? And just keeping asking kind of that why question
Hmm.
of why is it doing that? Oh, because of this. Why is it doing that? Until you get to a point where it's like, okay, it's like, here's the root. I need to talk to somebody with more specific knowledge,
Yeah.
but I can
Hmm.
at least, by the time that they get involved, I can be like, this thing right here is wrong, and they're like, oh, because this, and it's an easy fix that fixes this
Down the chain.
large set of things, instead of having to like asks of like, okay, this is wrong, and then ask somebody why that's wrong before, like, being able to track things all the way back in
Mm.
code that you're unfamiliar with, I think,
Yeah, that's
is
definitely a
being able to
skill.
debug code you've never seen before is a big skill,
Mm.
and you just kind of have to, um,
Go through enough problems and being able to
yeah, kind of.
interface with other departments, right?
It's hard and it's one of those that's terribly difficult to teach.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just kind of
It's a
have
soft skill
to,
that, as well as
yeah,
like the experience that you get from like the larger context or something, but then being able to run it like through that rabbit hole of like, oh, what does this do? Oh, what does that do? And it's being able to
yeah,
understand a lot of the integrated systems and how they interact, and understanding the game on the programming side, on the back end, how each of the systems interact with each other, and then you have like different like databases of like, oh, like this is how this database is set up, and it's calling something from over here, and being able to have all those interact together, and sometimes talking to that designer with what the intent was, right? So you can help to make it more user friendly to them, so that if they like change some values or put a different if then statement in here, it produces the result that they want versus getting some bug. So
Yeah, exactly.
hmm. Yeah, that's pretty good skill set to have. Like, do you feel like that was something that you had in like books, or was it like a certain mentor that helped you to grow as a programmer? Did you find that like you liked a lot of self study, or was it more just experience, trial by fire, that really like helped you?
Um, it was, I mean, for the actual skills themselves, definitely trial by fire.
Mm,
Being given bugs of like, we need somebody to look at this, and getting into and being in that situation where it's like, oh, the last time we gave you this thing that you didn't understand, you found it and fixed it. So here's some more things that you don't understand. So the like skills themselves, definitely trial by fire.
mm,
But the mentality of how to fix it wasn't. I
mm,
mean, I've always been somebody who's liked science and engineering in some way. Before I was going to do programming, I was going to do electrical engineering
mm.
because that was what my dad did.
Ah.
I've always been like science and engineering kind of focused, and the curiosity of understanding like how do things
Mm,
work. I've
mm,
got a bunch of books back
mm.
here. There was this like really old book called
The way
The Way
things work.
Things Work.
Yeah, yeah.
And you open it up and like it's got all these diagrams for how things are happening, and all of the like, and instead of electricity, all the things are being moved by like people riding mammoths and
Mm,
stuff. It's a crazy book. But um but like that whole thing of like the curiosity to
mm,
understand how things work, and like would really drive me all the way down to that thing where it's like, okay, this thing's broken. Well, the immediate cause is this problem.
mhm,
And some programmers might look at that immediate cause and fix it. But other people, myself included, and
mm,
sometimes this is not a good thing.
mm,
Like
mm,
I'll go deep on things when it's just like,
mhm,
no, we don't have time for you to go deep.
mm. Ah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's so it can be a detriment in certain circumstances, but
Mhm,
the general methodology of like, okay, the immediate cause is this,
mhm,
but but like that thing isn't wrong. It's basing it on something else.
ah, okay.
And so recognizing each step along the way of like, is this thing wrong, or is it just another step in the process, and chasing those
Mm,
issues further down the chain back to a more root cause
mm,
is kind of a like a curiosity
yeah.
thing. Why do things happen the way they do? And um, to your point, when you get close to shit, and that's been a real uh, learning like learning process for me as I grow and
Mhm,
move up in like seniority levels, where I have to
mm,
start making some of these decisions for
mhm,
what time do we spend to fix certain things, and being
mhm,
involved in those conversations of like that trade-off of, oh, that thing's wrong, we need the 5-minute root cause fix for that
mhm.
because we're 3 days from
Yeah.
shipping, and we don't need the solution that fixes everything, because the only thing that it happens for is this one thing.
Mm,
We can ship with that,
mhm,
especially these days, as you said, with like when you're
mhm,
shipping out these kind of updates over time, you can push off some of those more systemic fixes until later.
mhm.
And so recognizing those things, being involved in that process, is a continuing learning process for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure QA would definitely raise a flag of like, hey, this breaks the game. Like those get fixed pretty easily. It's the nuance of like, oh, this thing turns red instead of purple or something. Then it's like, okay, maybe. It is a process, and that's game development, because towards the end of a project, you're building the plane as you're landing it, kind of deal, right? Like that happens every time. Okay, so um, what kind of things are you like? Because like recently, in the past few years, there's been like a lot of challenges with like game development in general. Like what kind of like challenges have you had in your career that you had to overcome?
Uh, you know, I hate to say not a lot.
Not a lot. Hmm.
Um, I have been amazingly blessed,
Hmm.
uh, or lucky. I mean,
Hmm.
uh, I once I decided I wanted to go to DigiPen, I got into DigiPen.
Hmm.
Um, it took me a little while to find that first job, but I did land that first job. I was willing to kind of like I had no real ties anywhere, so it's just like,
Hmm.
oh, you want me to move to the Midwest
Hmm.
to make games? Sure. You're going to pay me to make games. I'll move where you want me to make
Hmm.
where you want me to. So and then I was at Volition for 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years is a long time.
The It's an incredibly long time in the
Hmm.
games industry. We had our kind of ups and downs. THQ went bankrupt,
Yeah.
but we were bought by another publisher, and we're able to keep going. I was sad when they got an Embracer closed them recently, but
Hmm. Me too. Yeah.
so I was there. So I was there for 10 years. I left on my own.
Hmm.
There was a really interesting job opportunity, job opening that was posted for Firaxis
Hmm.
and that I saw kind of randomly on the Gama Sutra page
Yeah, Gamma
while I
Sutra.
was looking
That's
at
right.
their news, and sent them a resume, and the like next business sent them I think I sent in my resume on like a Sunday night
Mm.
after shaping it up over the weekend, and then got a call on Monday of like, you want to fly out on Thursday and
Mm.
interview? And it's like, well, no, Thursday's a little fast. And they're like, well, okay, we're gonna have to do it after GDC. I'm
Ah,
sorry to
yeah, that's
wait.
another thing.
So it's like it waited. So it took a little while,
Mm.
but at the same time, it's like I wasn't out of work, so it's
Hmm.
like, I can wait.
Hmm.
So that was kind of a headshot of like one one job, uh, um,
Going from one
uh,
one job to another
one
job.
job, and then like I only applied for one job
Mm.
out of from while I was working at Volition and
Mm.
got that, and then
Hmm.
I was at Firaxis for 10 years.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I I have had an unusual career
Mm.
in
Well, like frankly, like
and
everybody
none of
has their own.
yeah, and I've had the good fortune that I have never been on a project that was canceled.
Mm.
I went like
Hmm.
same like all of the titles that I worked on, Saints Row 1 through
Got shipped.
4 shipped.
Hmm.
Worked on XCOM 2 and War of the Chosen, and then Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Hmm.
So like I have been incredibly lucky uh, in my career so far, and um, so those kinds of challenges, you know, they've been a little more like tactical challenges
Mm.
of specific things that we're building
Hmm.
or specific bugs that are coming up and are
Hmm.
really hard.
Do
It's the
you?
day to day challenges of
Okay.
work and not the career challenges.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I was gonna ask if the work life balance was like if that was like a challenge at all, because like sometimes I know that with programmers like it's a little bit of a challenge to like turn your brain off like during off hours. It's like, oh, I'm still thinking about that problem. It's like no, like
it,
rest your
it
brain,
has
right?
it has gotten me in trouble more than once.
Yeah, because that's a challenge.
And definitely, and the work life balance was tough on Saints
Mm.
Row 1 because we had bitten off a lot.
Mm.
But I was fresh out of
Hmm.
college, and
Got
so
that
those,
energy.
the years of either when you're 22 to 26 of
Yeah.
like you don't need a work life balance because you're in your early 20s.
Hmm.
I try to be better about that
Hmm.
these days for sure,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I also go from doing stuff during doing programming stuff during the week and then coming home and doing programming
Hmm.
stuff for myself.
Hmm.
Um, I try to balance it out. I don't spend as much focused time at
Hmm.
home. I'm usually, I'll do it while watching TV or something,
Hmm.
which I could never do for production work, but
Hmm.
I can do for stuff at home.
Do you find that there's something that you're looking forward to, like this year or coming up, like whether that's in like your personal life or professional life?
Yeah, the big one is getting Midsummer
Yeah.
funded. Now, I
Oh.
don't have
Hmm.
I don't have any like real specific control over that
Hmm.
other than making sure that we have a quality product
Hmm.
that we can be showing investors
Hmm.
during this year. But that's going to be a huge one.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like everybody wants to be able to have that, and having a startup like that, and bringing in people who are able to do quality work, or you've shipped titles with before, having those professional connections do help a lot, and then it comes down
Yeah.
to making a quality product and then getting it out to people to be able to see.
Yep. Hmm. Um, I'm going to keep working on my hobby games. They're not.
Hmm.
They're. There's no expectation that
Hmm.
they're ever going to ship. But the um, but the difference between working on something that does have deadlines
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
something else that like doesn't have any deadlines, so you can always do it right
Hmm.
in order to like experiment and
Hmm.
grow, as well as to like grow some of those more design muscles that I
Hmm.
don't necessarily do. Um, that's something I'm looking forward to staying on. I'm hoping to publish a few more Unreal plugins.
Hmm.
We've got a library of about four of those on a GitHub right now. I've got at least one more that I'm going to put out. Um, either and I put those out less necessarily for people to use them directly and something because a lot of the time people would ask questions and I would wish that I could just point them at example code that I had already
Hmm.
written, but it wasn't there. But at the same time, if I'm going to put it on GitHub, I kind of have to assume that people are just going to use it directly. So there's a certain quality level that
Hmm.
I have to hit for myself before things go up there. So I'm hoping to do that with one or two more plugins, and then I'm hoping to do a talk at the Game Your Future conference in November that IGDA is putting on.
Is that like locally here, or is that over in like California somewhere, or?
No, that's the one that'll be at the convention center here, Baltimore Convention Center,
Okay, okay.
here in November.
Gosh, that one. Okay, yeah, yeah. Because like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's several things happening for that one, so I'm pretty excited for it. Gotcha. Okay, well, that's a number of questions there, and obviously there's a lot to look forward to. I wish you and Midsummer the best. If you need any resources from the Baltimore IGDA, let me know. I would love to do more interviews there. But I do have a couple more questions. Like we have about like 10 minutes or so left. Um, what kind of advice would you give your younger self?
Stocks. What stocks to buy?
Stocks. That's true. That's
um,
true. The past 15 years have
um,
been pretty crazy with that. I will say.
um, like I said, I haven't had a whole lot of real hiccups in my career, and so um, in in kind of hindsight, maybe I would have suggested I would go back and maybe suggest getting on Unreal 4
Mm,
for like home work when that came out.
hmm.
We um, at Firaxis we got onto Unreal 4 a little pretty late, just because we were shipping XCOM
Hmm.
2 and War of the Chosen. Those were on Unreal Engine 3. There was absolutely no reason to change them to Unreal 4, given the huge differences
Hmm.
um, the in the engineering setup. Unreal 3 had this Unreal script, textual based thing, along with kind of a visual scripting element. Um, and then Unreal 4 obviously introduced Blueprint and got
Hmm.
rid of Unreal Script.
Hmm.
So there was no way that we could have converted
Yeah.
XCOM to Unreal 4. But um, it would have, like, if I could have started working with Unreal 4, like, at the time when it actually went, like, public, as far as any rando can just kind of download it and start making stuff with it, it probably would have put me in a better position when we did start doing that
Mm.
Unreal development in for Midnight
Mm.
Suns.
So
It
the
also
good.
it also would have been nice maybe to have, like, um, to interact earlier with some of the people at Volition that did start working on a project in Unreal 4
Mm.
that was unfortunately canceled.
Mhm.
Um, but it would have been interesting to start working with them, uh, especially our CTO Will, who was working on that
Mm.
project, uh, and I didn't get to work with him really until uh, partway through Midnight Suns when he came over.
Mhm. So the big takeaway is do some personal work, being able to check out new technologies, being able to like experiment with newer workflows. Like obviously like you have your day job, but at the same time it's good to see what newer things are on the horizon and how you can incorporate them into your skill set and knowledge base. So that's
Yeah, for
that's good
sure.
advice.
There were definitely during Midnight Suns, there was a number of times where, um, like, one of the big ones was we were having some problems with some async work
Hmm.
or dealing with save games
Hmm.
and how all that worked. And so it's like, well, I just don't understand how some of this async stuff works in Unreal. And so I went home. I already had save games at home.
Hmm.
And so I just kind of started playing around and messing with some of the async tools. And by the end of, like, the weekend, and then maybe a little more messing around with that, I kind of had this async save game tool set that eventually we were having enough problems at work that it's just like, listen, I've got this thing, and it's like, I'm just going to drop it in
Hmm.
and fix kind of like all of our async save game
Hmm.
problems. Cool. Um, and there were a number of cases like that where it's like I
Hmm.
go home, do something,
Yeah.
and then be like, here is a better solution, and drop that in.
Hmm. Yeah, that and with like somebody who's like entry level, like somebody who is trying to do like either like polishing up their resume or having, let's say, like a like coding test, like or just interview questions, like what kind of advice would you give somebody who's like fresh from college, being able to do an interview well?
Um, yeah, that's tough. I've never felt like I've been a
A very good
very
interviewer.
good interviewer, um, because it's one of those things that
Hmm.
you don't
Yeah,
really get
a lot
trained
of
on
practice. Yeah,
anywhere. You don't necessarily get a lot of
yeah.
practice at it. Um, because I've always been kind of a lower man on the totem pole where like these, like, people have already been filtered out, so I'm not
Mm.
doing a lot of the interviews. I'm doing the ones that have already passed
Hmm.
other certain filters. Um, for me, it tends to be things um, like a passion or an
Mm.
interest for something.
Hmm.
Like, again, like, you could come in and be like, I don't like playing strategy games,
Mm.
and I'm not going to hold that against you. But if you really love making the like um, making those graphics APIs and
Mm.
making visual effects and the tools for those so that the VFX artists can make really awesome visual effects, and you're really passionate about that, great. I
Mm.
love that. Um, the I'm not a big fan of the leak coding stuff because it's always tricks and
Mhm.
like nothing that very rarely things that are applicable. So solid foundation, language foundations. If you're coming in and you're gonna do uh, to a place and they're hiring as an Unreal studio or for an Unreal project, knowing your C++
Mhm.
is important for an engineer. If you're coming in as a designer, maybe that's a bonus. But if you're coming in as an engineer and you don't know C++,
Mm. Yeah.
it's like I
Yeah.
just can't because I can't. We can't be. We can help you. I can help you grow.
Mhm.
I can't teach you. I can't teach
The
you that and
fundamentals.
give
Yeah.
you some of the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Um, uh, having portfolio work can be important. Uh, it, I mean, a lot of it depends on the individual.
Mhm.
There's these great. There's always these conversations online that people start of like, I want to start in games, but I don't have a degree in it.
Mhm.
Is that a problem? It's like
Mm.
maybe
Maybe.
you're like, I have worked with people that don't have degrees,
Mm.
but they're amazing programmers. But I've worked with people that have degrees and are terrible programmers.
Mhm.
But
It's the.
but it's still like, well, if you don't have a degree, the things that the degree gives you, you still need to like know all of that stuff
Mhm.
because that's the minimum bar that you're competing against.
Mhm.
And so it's always tough, and it's going to be a
Mhm.
person by person basis.
Yeah, it comes down to the hireable skills, right? Like being able to be like, hey, if we're going to be working in a certain engine, do you know how to program in that engine? Do you have that passion for like tools or database or multiplayer or whatever, right? Like those kinds of things. Like you want to be able to find people who have that specialization to be able to be like, hey, I can hand this work off to you and understand that you can do well enough that I can rely on you to be able to make something.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, for Unreal as well, I would say I would almost take like an engineer that knows C++ backwards and
Mm.
forwards. We can fit you into
Mm.
Unreal,
Mm.
but somebody and but somebody who only knows Blueprint
Mm.
is not an engineer in my book
Mm.
exactly. So um, it's just one of those things of like, what are you trying to do?
Mm.
And um, and I think at least when you start talking about some of these, like I can imagine as like maybe for a Unity studio,
Mm.
they would hire like, oh, you don't have any Unity experience, but you've been doing C# for 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. That kind of thing could hold as well because the engines, they have their things, but you're always kind of moving between frameworks.
Mm.
Less so these days. It used to be that as long as you were a C++ programmer, you could go to all these different studios and you would have to learn their engine anyway.
Yeah, you have to do
And
it
now
anyway. Yeah.
it can be a little better because of Unreal and Unity have kind of
Mm.
um,
Got their
leveled the
player
playing
base.
field across. But you, but at the end of the day as well, it's like, oh, you're coming from another industry
Mm.
and you're an amazing C++ programmer. Well, we can like teaching you the engine is
Is the
easier
easy
than
part.
teaching you
Yeah.
the language.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, it's probably good to kind of wrap up here. Is there anything else that you would want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I think we
Anything
covered a lot of really good stuff.
anything with like the Unreal Engine Discord, or like anything with Midsummer, or anything with you personally, or
So we're looking like so we do have the Discord. I'm
hmm
sure you'll link to it
yeah.
in the bottom.
hmm
And we had our first meet and greet,
hmm
or not meet and greet. We had a show and tell
hmm
uh, with a few people online. We're hoping to do an in person in the near future.
hmm
Hopefully, we'll still figure out where that would be. Um, but that'll be coming in the future, and we'll get posted on that in that Discord eventually
Yeah,
when we make
sounds
those
good.
plans.
Sounds good. Like I look forward to it. I'll be there, and if you need any help at all being able to organize that, I can help with that. Um,
Appreciate
so
it.
yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty much it. Let me just do. I'm. I currently have my screen here just on Midsummer. So for those that I don't know, please check out Midsummer Studios. They're going to be working on something cool. Being able to talk to people who were there, and I look forward to whatever Midsummer is working on. So thank you very much. I'm gonna go back to you all here. So I'm gonna wrap up here. Thank you all for joining the Baltimore IGDA for our episode, and thank you, Russell, very much for your time. I'll leave the floor to you, and then we'll sign out.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. All right. Have a good time, everybody. Bye bye.